Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Holland is once again looking like the man to beat, but some bad luck at Watkins Glen kept his teammate Clenard from being able to compete for the win in the final stage of the race. Will Snetterton be more kind to him? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 2 of the PRL Open Wheel Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Snetterton is one of many club-level tracks in the UK that have developed a rich history in the region. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Snetterton Circuit. Like many British tracks that were born shortly after World War II, this venue was made out of an old military airfield. It's a mere 30 minutes drive from Norwich and offers up 3 different layouts of varying lengths. This means the track is easily able to host international, regional, and club-level racing. Previously rather simple, the circuit's most recent update in 2011 introduced a twisty infield section. Still, it's mainly punctuated by 2 very long straights: the Cinna Straight, where the pits are located, and the Bentley Straight, which acts as the backstretch. As you'd expect for a track born out of an airfield, there's little in the way of elevation change. However, the one spot in which you do find some undulation, it really stands out. The bomb hole dips cars down in the middle of a quick right-hand kink, causing them to have to keep a heads up lest they lose the car. The track is not without character though. Rich's is very swift for a first turn and includes 2 distinct apexes. There's also the combination of Brundle and Nelson, which forces drivers to turn hard while braking. Never an easy combination to manage. The long sweeping run through Coram down into Murray's can also be quite tricky. The car will want to drift out, forcing a shallow entry into the final left-hander. But failing to give yourself a good exit will leave you vulnerable to attack down the pit straight. Perhaps not as famous as some other British circuits, this place is a bit of a hidden gem in the UK motorsport scene. Fans who get to witness racing here certainly seem likely to return. Well, DJ, the F3 is exactly the sort of car that you'd probably see here in real life racing with the sort of up-and-comers they tend to see at Snetterton.
For sure, Joe, and just like that, the Formula 3s are going to take to this track like a duck on water, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be totally easy for them. A couple of good overtaking opportunities, though, to keep an eye for. The best one, I think, is going to be going down into Montreal. Now, that is that very tight right-handed hairpin after the first curve there. Some definite opportunity to go, but some also opportunity to fight back as they make their way through the next infield section. We may see a little bit of passing going up into Nelson as well. That left-right kink chicane at the end of the Bentley Straight. But the infield section here is where drivers are going to have to be very careful. There's a couple of very, very quick flowing corners to get right. And the other thing they're going to have to watch out for is Corum. Now, if you drive that in a hot lap, that long right-hander leading up to Murray's Corner, it's pretty easy. But because of the aero displacement in these cars, it's very easy to get caught up in aero wash, and drivers are going to have to be careful. Maybe find some alternate lines through there to make sure that they don't lose front grip and find themselves out in the grass.
And there's some places where there's lots of grass to go skidding off into out here, so keep an eye out for that. Before we get to watching the racing, we want to talk to you about how our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together in one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL Open Wheel Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Now, we had a great performance at the first round, of course, with the drivers getting one round down, and the Pro and AMs now having points on the board. For the pros, David Holland naturally is leading the way. Fournier, Verity, Palacio, and Clenard rounding out those top fives. As we said, Rod maybe would have had much more points after that first one, but just as he came out of the pits, the racing gods did not smile upon him. And we have the AM points, which is definitely a lot more populated this season.
It certainly is, Joe, but Takeshi Kita on top of those AM driver standings, only by 3 points over Robert Ridgway. Those two are teammates. It's important to keep in mind. Juan Cofre sitting back in third, 3 points back of Ridgway, and yet again a close battle with Kenny Brown and Christopher Richards trying to close in on Cofre. Now remember, only one race in, so these may separate a little bit, but with some of the action that we've seen from this AM class, and there's just as many drivers as there are this year, I think this is going to be a hard-fought championship.
And it will be in the team's championship as well, because if you look at it now, David Holland races for Delta Sport, but they're not leading the way because of Clenard's poor finish. Atomic Racing has managed to snatch that top spot after the first round. So this could be a fascinating one to see unfold. NinjaTrader not doing too bad, but a little ways back here after the first round. They've got Eagle Vision and Britannia not too far behind them. So we'll see what happens after the race at Snetterton is finished and if that changes the order at all. But we might have viewers that didn't tune in last week, so why don't you go through our race details here, DJ?
Well, it is a 10 race season out here, and we are in the second race. It's going to be a 22-minute lap or 45-minute race. Open setups across the board, so that's really where those teammate plays are going to come in handy. The teams are going to be able to work on their setups and find what's best. Now, this is important, not necessarily at a track like Snetterton, but at a couple other tracks we'll go to, is a 13 incident point penalty limit. That results in a drive-through penalty. We saw that come up a lot last season. You get a full disqualification at 17. And also to keep in mind, in terms of some bonus points available, maybe try to close in those gaps on your competitors. You get a point for pole, you get a point for fastest lap, and if you escape with 3 incidents or less.
So last week it was all about the slipstream at Watkins Glen with the lack of the bus stop chicane, the inner loop in there. Here, it's a little bit more technical. There are some long straights out here, but DJ, do you think it's going to be tough to pass? Do you think that infield section will give them many opportunities?
I think the best way to get past around here, Joe, is going to be by providing pressure to the car in front of you. We often talk about the head game that you play a little bit, just kind of poking your nose to the inside or the outside of the driver in front of you, seeing if you can force them into an error. I really feel like that's going to be the best way to get by. You saw the driver in front there kicking up a little bit of dirt going into Hamilton. I think that is going to be something to watch for. If you see that dirt kick up and a car start to get a little bit squirrely, they're gonna have to be careful for it, and that's a good way to get past. The other thing is that there's not a lot of runoff here. You mentioned that earlier. It's grass right almost on the edge of the curbing, and at some areas there isn't any curbing on the exit of corners. So if you're pushing the driver in front of you just enough and they understeer a little bit into the corner and out of it, well, that may be your opportunity to get on by.
So we'll have to watch out for that as we see Verity here currently sitting in fourth, about 6/10 behind our provisional pole sitter, which is David Holland right now. Highest AM, by the way, is Juan Cofre back there in the 91. He sits in seventh as looks like Verity getting ready to finish this latest lap. They get a half an hour to try to set a time. Part of that is because they have so many drivers out there, and part of it is because there are the 2 different classes racing at the same time. So they want to make sure plenty of people get a shot at a nice clean lap. And Verity going to brake hard down into the hairpin of Wilson and trying to just glance that inside curb. This track has a lot of curbs like that at certain places, as we're going to watch on board with him as he continues to race around now through the infield up to Augustini. These cars, from my experience, DJ, don't seem to always like when you get those giant sausage curbs. Are they going to really upset things or even potentially cause damage if they get greedy?
They very well might, Joe. The sausage curbs, at the worst, you'll get a tire up into the air, and you're basically going to have to come off of all inputs until the car settles back down. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, frankly, is that the sensitive suspensions of these cars can snap if you hit those big sausage curbs just a little bit too hard. So drivers are going to have to be very, very careful of those. You're not going to want to be too aggressive with them. They need to know the areas when and where you can take a little bit more of the curbing.
Well, there was someone in the distance kind of demonstrated what you were talking about earlier. That was Almanar, I believe, in the 02. Just went way wide at Nelson. Thankfully, I don't think he hit anything, so he'll be able to return to the track once he finds a clearing. So once again, back around for Verity here. And across the line, looks like this time by a 38.385, still well off of his best. I just saw Antonino in the 193 set a personal best, and that'll get him up into 7th, which means he is now our top AM driver.
Yeah, we've got a pretty clear breakdown between the pro and the AM drivers. The top 6, all pro drivers, and then AM all the way back to Byron Daly in 26, the only other pro driver in the field. Antonino driving for RF Delta Sport. We've seen him in a couple of series across the Precision Racing League. I think he's definitely going to be one to watch out for. Spinning car there in front of Antonino, but able to keep everything nice and easy and together.
Going to be curious to see how it plays out the first lap through coming down into Brundle, which Antonino's approaching. This is Williams onto the Bentley straight. This is such an odd corner. It's It's almost comparable to like a Swift version of the Senna S at Montreal. The way you have to like take one right hand or one 90-degree corner and then you switch back immediately into another sharp one. I've always found it to be the toughest corner to try and hit on this track. Do you see many problems happening there today?
Oh, I for sure do, Joe. That's an area that you have to be absolutely picture pristine perfect. If you get that wrong, even if it's just by a millimeter, it can throw you off a little bit, and you're going to have to regain the best you can. And as we've mentioned, the biggest problem is with such a big field like this, I think if you lose momentum there, especially then coming through Baumhole and Quorum, you lose that speed, and that's going to leave you a sitting duck all the way up into the overtaking opportunity for Murray's as well.
So let's see, riding on board here. Well, as some evasive action there for Raymond Day, sitting in third, so that's probably not going to be the best lap for him, having to, I imagine, check up a little bit for, I think that was Daniel Barnett, who was on the racing line and slow for some reason, and Coffray was off course somewhere around the track. And now we switch over to Ethan Oring, who is our third highest driver right now on the AMS, coming up to this Nelson and Brundle complex, so you can see just how fast and blind it is coming in there.
Yeah, and it's going to be a real concern during the race if somebody is to get off there. As you mentioned, a very, very blind corner. If there's a car sideways at the apex or a little bit after Nelson, could be a bit of a coming together, stacking up of multiple cars. Important to note here with Ethan Oring, he's a part of the Delta Sport Academy team. Now that's sort of a bit of feeder series that Delta Sport has put together for some of their amateur drivers, that they want to get these guys some real race experience in some lower series and evaluate them as they maybe move up the ranks into some of the pro leagues of the Precision Racing League. Very similar to a young driver academy. Ethan Oring there, I think he put his lap in and just decides to park it.
Ooh, and he now has the top time in the AM category in qualifying. He quite literally, and Antonino takes it right back. So it is switching around, and Antonino is all the way up to third there. So that is a mighty lap. He's still half a second off of David Holland, but our AMs are starting to mix it up with the pros.
They certainly are, and not a lot of breathing room there in between Antonino Day and Verity. It's only about, I would say, 0.07 of a second in between third and fifth. So that's going to be a real hornet's nest to watch out during the course of the race itself if everything stays the way it is.
So watching from Antonino once again, 0.06 of a second over Day, 66 thousandths over Verity. Clenard 26 back. In fact, it looks like between third place and seventh place, there's just barely over 0.1 of a second splitting them.
Yeah, there is not a lot of room at the top here. Antonino kicking up a little bit of dirt on the exit of that corner before he swings his way through that Brundle-Nelson complex like we talked about. A little bit of a wiggle there for him before he goes into bomb hole. I think he's going to slow it down here. Yeah, he may have picked up an off track and just knows it.
And he doesn't have much time left. Yeah, I think unless he gets out right now, he won't be able to set another time. What about Verity, who still is down in fifth as he exits out of Murray's towards the center straight and across the timing line? Is this going to be a decent one? No, it is not. Still can't seem to get close enough to that 37.9. So we look again to Oring, who briefly was at the top of those AM charts around Wilson, not really bothering the apex though, and he's going to abandon his.
Yeah, I knew that one wasn't a good one. Here's Christopher Richards for Eagle Vision Racing. He's going to come across the line trying to beat a 38.4. Might be a little close. He is not going to do it. He'll have one more lap to get things going because this is an open qualifying session. Drivers will be able to finish their hot laps provided that they cross the start-finish line by the time that clock hits 0. Watching here, Stephen Richards, the Canadian independent driver of the 27 machine. He works his way around trying to move up from that 20th place position.
I just saw Alex Fournier cross the line with about 40 seconds to go. So this is his last shot at stealing the pole away from David Holland. And why this is important is because, again, there is a bonus point for that pole position. So he will want to try and deny David, not just for track position, but because of championship implications. Steven Ritter's still down in 20th, then jumps up to 16th with that latest lap.
And he'll have another crack at the apple here, crossing the line in time. Whoa! So much for Fournier being able to set the fastest lap there. He has a big off coming out of Agostini, so that will take him out of the equation. Here's Stephen Verity. Let's see if the Rust Racing driver has anything. No, and that's checkered flag, so that is Verity's day's done. He will do no better than 15th. We're going to follow Ritter's here as he makes his way towards Hamilton.
Kenny Brown's going to be the next one who actually abandons his lap, so he's done. I see Coelho in the 19 is just coming through bomb hole and up to Coram. Long right-hander, really punishing those left-hand side tires before he's got to get on the binders as he's turning and try to avoid that big sausage curb, keep it within the boundaries of the track, accelerate, find grip, all that, and get a fast lap in. 39.3 was his quickest last time across. 39.5 won't improve that.
No, it will not. Cadence Presley also not able to improve. Looks like next up is going to be Stephen Ritter's that we were following. So let's see if the Canadian driver has anything to do here. Little bit of a slide there coming into Murray's. Maybe a little bit wider of an escape there, but now it's just a straight shot to the line. Can Steven do anything to better his time? It's going to be close. No, he is off by about 1/10 of a second.
Heffernan's going to be the last one to be able to set a time. And then it is off to the grid for us. The subatomic racing car will actually improve to a 39.3, but he does not go higher than his 26th starting position. So it was not much more than an ego boost for him today. And that means that our grid is set with 38 cars looking like they're going to take to that starting grid. And it is David Holland on the pole of them all, with Fournier starting in second. Pole sitter in the AM category, John Antonino starting on the inside of row 2. Raymond Day will be next to him in fourth, with Stephen Verity in P5. Rod Clenard will be sixth. Next AM is Ethan Oring, seventh overall. Third in the AMs is Juan Cofre, who will start eighth. Michael Cofre, ninth, and Christopher Richards will be 10th.
In 11th, it's a familiar face here in the Precision Racing League. Michael Broomhead, and to his outside, it'll be Robert Ridgway. Manuel Vargas will be 13th, followed by your lowest placed pro driver out here today. That's Byron Daly. He was able to put in a better time than what we saw earlier. Jonathan Almanar will be 15th, followed by Stephen Ritters, with Josh Gowan and Nick Horvath lining up behind them. Kenny Brown will be 19th, followed by Roberto Cofre in 20th.
Takeshi Kita starts 21st, with Johnny Luna in 22nd. Then it is Brian Vorse in P23. Cadence Presley, 24th starting position for him. Brett Barrett in 25th. On the outside of that row, it's Colin Heffernan. Armando Coelho is in 27th. You've got Sean Duhamel to his outside. Chip Michaels 29th. And Owen McLaughlin will start 30th.
In 31st, it'll be Tyler Scarelli, followed by James Carter, with Matthew Gunderson and Adam McDonald to there behind them. James Holland will be 35th, followed by Daniel Barnett, with Donald Olson and Tyler Gore bringing up the back of your starting grid.
Most of them working their way out there. Standing start here in these Formula 3s. And they aren't going to have too hot of temperatures, but there is some wind. These things still dependent on the aerodynamics. I wonder if that could see them getting blown around a little bit, because I have seen it changing a fair bit. It's gone between 9 and 12 miles an hour, so it's gusting, the absolute worst condition that you could hope for when it comes to the air there and its air travel. Looks like our pole sitter finds his way to his spot. David Holland's number 18, now waiting for the rest of the field to go out there. They get about 2 minutes to try and tweak their setup if they want, and then they get the green flag at the end of those 2 minutes, whether they're out there or not. You can see it's 21 Celsius on the track surface for those of you measuring in Celsius. So it sounds like the engines are starting to rev. The lights are up. And the green flag is out off the line. It's not a good start for our third place driver, John Antonino, the highest of our AMs. And we've already got a 3-wide situation starting to shape up behind him. And that causes a big incident as we've got 4 cars getting in there. 5, 6, I see many of them, unfortunately, getting collected.
And another one in the back, and it's still unfolding, coming through Rich's right now. We'll have to sort of slow things back down and get a better sense of exactly what happened there. But up front, it continues to be David Holland able to lead things away for the moment. Fournier, Antonino, and Day.
I think that was Orin in the 4 and Verity that came together first. I don't want to put blame on either one because it could have been a racing incident, but those are the 2 that touched and kicked off that huge domino effect. So Holland, Fournier, Antonino at the top of the field, getting ready to head to the Bentley straight. Holland critically has gotten himself somewhat out of reach of Fournier. We'll see how powerful that slipstream is.
We will indeed, but that's not going to help Fournier, that was Antonino there running a little bit wide on the exit of Williams onto the Bentley straight, and another one around in the back there. That looks like Ritter's.
It was indeed, and he is falling way down the order. Oh, and more cars spin by as that was completely separate incidents. You just saw them flash across your screen. So it's been a bad start for a lot of people. I already see about 5 of them having to take a tow to the pits.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm seeing Michael Coffray and I believe Josh Gowan dropping down the order. So a lot of incidents and accidents to check out here on this opening lap. But up front, the top 3 remain the same. Top 4, indeed, Ron Clenard up 1 position. And I've got to say, Clenard looking a little bit scrappy here. I think he's got a car under him. He's trying to put a little bit of pressure to Broomhead ahead.
Whoa, somebody's spinning there coming out of Rich's. That was Michael Broomhead, who quite literally sends it off into the weeds. I think he's going to be able to get it going since there wasn't anything to hit, but he is going to plunge down the order after that.
Yeah, that is not going to help him at all. But we follow here the 5 of Broomhead as he's able to get his car back on track. There is your leader. Same team there, not to be confused. That is David Holland. Ooh, you can see behind again. Raymond Day looking very scrappy on John Antonino.
And that's about the only close battle we have at the front of the field. Because of the huge incident and everybody checking up, it is vastly spread apart, basically from this trio on back. And they're all going to get a decent run off or onto the Bentley straight. Antonino ahead of Day, ahead of Clenard. Not anticipating any passes into Brundle this time. I wonder if we've got a shot at seeing the replay on that first corner. Like I said, Orin in the 4 I know was involved, and Verity as well was another one that made contact at the very start. An above view, almost need a blimp view to really try and break it down. It looks like we're trying to pull that one up. So even our team is having their own trouble trying to get all that ready as David Holland sets the fastest lap of the race. That's going to be a bonus point to him if he can hold on to that all the way to the end. This is the battle for 10th place. On the inside, it is Brett Barrett. On the outside, inside is Vargas. Outside is Barrett. And Brett is much braver on the brakes, heading into Rich's, so he'll claim 9th.
Yeah, Joe, just a nice sweeping maneuver. And oh, wow! And he loses it, but Michael Broomhead behind Vargas. Behind there, also able to get the move on Vargas. So Broomhead is up a position while Brett Barrett tumbles down the order, bringing too much speed there into Wilson.
We're not at Zandvoort or Laguna Seca. It's not like sand is being blown onto the track, but we've seen a lot of spins here today. This is a bit ridiculous. This is 15th in the meantime. Gunderson being chased by Duhamel. Also got a bit of a train starting to form. Looks like Donald Olson also trailing, and Owen McLaughlin.
Yeah, Joe, and I think you may have hit a little bit of the nail on the head on why we're seeing so many drivers just lose it like that. I'm keeping an eye on this wind speed. I've seen it vacillate anywhere between 9 to 17 miles an hour. So some big gusts of wind. We've heard this season in Formula One in particular, drivers talking
about... Sorry, DJ,
I've got to interrupt.
We've lost David Holland. He's disconnected. our leader is out of the race, and Fournier has it handed to him on a silver platter.
Oh my goodness gracious, the internet gremlins coming out to strike not only your leader, but your championship leader. And so now, as you said, Fournier able to hold it on. Clenard setting the fastest lap of the race, though, as he tries to claim in on the back of Raymond Day.
Well, after last round with the pit stops, and this round with internet connections, Delta Sport is starting to look a little bit cursed here. In fact, Rod Clenard is still only up to fourth. He's been battling with Day that you see on screen for the third position. It looks like we've got a replay on the start. This is Orion that we see from above. Let's see if we can try and figure out what exactly happened. I know he got to the inside. Ooh. That was Verity that got turned by him. I almost looked like from that angle that Verity kind of chopped onto him.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I need a closer look to see if that was a true chop down or if it was maybe Orion poking his nose in a little bit more. But either way, with the speed of the corner of Riches and just how many cars were funneling through there, I mentioned that at the top, that it's very easy to get multiple cars together. We got to keep an eye here. That is Clenard making a move on Raymond Day, going up into Brundle and Nelson. That's one of those areas we talked about, Joe. Tricky to make an overtake. You've got to be very brave to pull it off.
Well, without his teammate here, he knows that the weight, the burden is on him to try and represent and collect points. So up onto the podium. Now he's got about a second to make up to get to Antonino. With him being second place, naturally, he is our highest AM runner.
He is indeed, but his pace is significantly off that of Ron Clenard. Clenard able to go about 0.3 of a second a lap faster on the previous lap. This one that they just did, still a couple hundredths faster. So I think Clenard may have an advantage here over Antonino, but we've seen some stout defense out of the driver of the 193 previously. I have something in the back of my brain that's going to tell me that he's going to do the same thing here.
He's got to watch out because Day's not too far off at this stage. So if he starts to attack, he could lose time and make himself vulnerable. So they work their way around Agostini. I believe this is the onboard of Clenard. So we get to see what he sees. Well, as he goes quite wide. That was through Augie's, just a very tough little hairpin there in the infield. And then all of them trying to get the speed back up along the Bentley straight. And ahead of them, that was a lapped car. That was Chip Michaels pulling over for Fournier, our leader. So that was not for position that you saw. But now they're going to start to catch up to the 63.
Yeah, indeed they are. They're right on the back if they're able to. And remember that this little battle that we've got going on here between Clenard and Antonino, they are sister teams. So there may be a little bit of conversation in between the two, but we've also interviewed those Delta Sport drivers many a time back when we've seen this series run previously, and they're kind of notorious for not having that much communication. Woo! Getting over to the side, and that was Clenard taking full advantage of the draft. Is he going to be able to have a move here on to Antonino? Not quite yet, going down through Riches.
Yeah, so hard to stay close to the car ahead through that swift double apexer. And then you've got the tantalizing braking zone of Wilson. And still can't attack on John. With all this, we only have, I believe, 30 cars still running, it looks like, on the track right now. We have lost almost a quarter of the field.
Oy, oy, oy. This Snetterton 300 circuit really just claiming victim after victim as we continue to watch Clenard trying to close in on Antonino through the right-hander there as they come out back and around into Williams. You can see there Clenard trying to get a little bit farther to the outside, maybe getting some fresh air on that wing, but Antonino able to keep the speed up. Bit of a defensive move there for Antonino. Not anywhere near close enough for Clenard to attack.
Big lockup. He goes a little deep, and now he's going to be able to attack into bomb hole. Rare you see passes into there, but Clenard makes it stick. Saw the single mistake, and he pounced.
I thought there for a second, coming around the second part of Corum, that was going to be Antonino trying to fight back, but once Rod Clenard was able to get out into the lead. He is not looking back of that. Now Antonino is going to have to be focused on Raymond Day behind him, who has been keeping close to this battle as Alex Fournier sets yet another fastest lap of this race.
How about that? From 6th to 2nd for Rod Clenard. And I feel we have another replay here that we're spooling up. Does that happen? All right, we're going to give one more look at the start. We're going to watch this full screen this time, it looks like. I can report that Day almost got by Antonino just as we cut away, but he was not able to make the pass. So here we've got Oren on the screen waiting for the cars to go. Looks like they're still missing at least one person in front of him. Once that grid's up, that should be them getting that green pretty soon here. So as we wait for them, there we go. Now we've got all of them on the grid, it looks like. And this will be perfect. Look, it should line up behind the car, so maybe that will give us a better angle of exactly what happens. It's a very good start for Oren. And I don't blame him for being ambitious. He sees the opening on the right-hand side, but the track's going to narrow. I put that one on Verity, if I'm honest, watching it from that way.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you there, Joe. Ethan Oring had his tires up alongside of him. Verity should have known to give him a little bit more space. We'll watch on board from Ethan Oring here. Very heads up, good start. That is fully enough alongside. Verity should have known he was there. That's going to be a little bit of a disappearing corner, especially considering Verity had room to the outside on that. And there you can see the chaos that ensues as a result of that coming together.
I think the last thing you want to see as a driver is the entire field coming towards you at the first corner. So he skidded off course, but regardless, it just caused, as you would say, a kerfluffle, unfortunately.
I think that's the textbook definition of a kerfuffle there, Joe. So obviously taking out a large section of the field. But the one driver who was certainly clear of all of that and benefiting from some others' misfortune, mainly in the form of your former leader here, disconnecting David Holland. Alex Fournier continuing to lead here to the tune of about 3 seconds.
Had a great move between Tyler Scarali and Adam McDonald. If we get a replay of about 40 seconds ago into Wilson, Scarali was brilliant through here because he was under attack, but he managed to fight back, and one of the most cool-headed over-unders I've seen in a while. We watch this on board with the Canadian up at the front of the field, continuing to just tick off the laps. And I think we've got the Scarali one here coming up pretty soon. Here it is. There, yep. You'll see a car come sailing in, and wow, what a chop back. He timed that to perfection.
That was absolutely beautiful. We're going to take another look at this because that was just poetry in motion, Joe.
The 16 was the car in that AM class that made that one happen. Here it is right here. Sent that one on a wing and a prayer, and he tried his best, but looks like it was just not meant to be. He actually made the apex pretty well, but my goodness, what a square off for Tyler.
Oh, millimeters there between those two tires, and Scarali back out onto the grass, keeping it in front of Christopher Richards. That is a driver who just knows where his car is.
Brilliant stuff as we come back live. That keeps Scarali, in 11th place overall. I think he's about 7th in the AM class. This is for 3rd place. Remember, Antonino has fallen behind Clenard, who's actually distanced himself by nearly 3 seconds now. And instead, it is Raymond Day that is trying to chase him. And Clenard just set the fastest lap of the race, which means he did chip away somewhat at 48, at least on that lap.
He's been able to pull the gap down a little bit to about 2.7 seconds, so holding it in the best that he can. You can see him streaking away here from this battle with John Antonino and Raymond Day. Day also looking like he's losing a little bit of ground to the 193. Maybe a little bit of the tires going off at this point. The aero wake starting to be effective. The temperature on track has dropped by about a degree. It's down to 70 degrees on track right now. And that could affect a little bit of grip. They may not be able to be nearly as aggressive as they would like to be in these Formula 3 machines.
Don't forget, pit stop's coming up. So does anybody dare try and take tires to give that little bit of time away in hopes that it'll help them streak back forward and make some overtakes at this track? In fact, I believe, yeah, we've passed the halfway point in this race already. So the window is very squarely open. It depends on who wants to stop when.
And that tends to always be the question. 10 laps in, though. We still have about 12 to play out here. So we'll see what drivers tend to do. Joe, normally we like to see them go a little bit longer. That tends to be the main strategy. We've got Scarali off track.
Ooh, that looks like Augie's to me. And I think that was driver error. Apologies, we are not halfway through. My clock lied to me as it is only 10 to 11 laps into this race. So Scarali able to get it back going. He actually gave up the position to McDonald's recently. He slowed on the front straight, so didn't seem all that interested in fighting too hard in spite of that great move that we saw on the replay. And now he's down to 17th from his error. Just ahead of them, this is Owen McLaughlin and Donald Olson for 15th.
That is McLaughlin and that very distinctive orange liveried machine trying to close in on Donald Olson. And here he's going to come. He's going to come on into the pits is Owen McLaughlin. So the first of what we really kind of assume are our scheduled pit stops here for the Cash for Crash driver.
Yes, I see Cadence Presley having had a 5.5 second stop, Heffernan a 9.4. Those two could have been scheduled. McLaughlin, 4.3. No tires for him for sure. And he is going to come out behind Presley after that, returning in 21st.
Yeah, it's a bit of a splash and dash. Hopefully he will have enough to make it around. Have to also say, just selfishly, I do love the branding on the side of that car. Nice little GSRC logo.
I enjoy that as well. Now, for some reason, Day, who was very close just briefly ago before our cameras put him on the screen, dropped back now to 0.7 of a second. Looked like he had caught Antonino and could threaten, but it's all evaporated.
Yeah, not really going anywhere there for him. Raymond Day keeping it at about a second as of now, though. I don't really feel like he's got it in. He may be playing a little bit of a fuel-saving game, trying to back off a little bit, maybe go a lap longer than John Antonino, but you can see all the time he is losing there 0.6 of a second on that last lap.
Very unusual. Ooh, a problem for Duhamel. Did somebody actually find the barriers out here? I think Duhamel did. The 617 trying to trundle back to the track. This is in Nelson. So he's picking up speed down the backstretch, underneath the bridge. And then something seems to go wrong under braking. Whoa! Track goes to the right, bud.
That may honestly be a hardware failure there, unless he was trying to find a shortcut or something. That just did not look right.
Antonino just got Clenard. Well, Clenard was past him, actually, wasn't he? He was. So, Clenard made a mistake. And he's going to get it right back as we see the... As we see... is that our leader in? I think that... Oh, that was the driver with the damage there into the wall. That we watched on replay. Some tight stuff here. Oh, Clenard going way too wide. And Antonino's going to get by once again, along with Raymond Day. So in pretty much one lap, Rod Clenard has dropped 2 places.
That is not great for Clenard, and it goes to show you on a technical track like Snetterton like this, if you get into your head, you make a mistake, you make that error, a little bit of a mistake there, but able to hold on to it.
I think Day was thinking about trying to pass Antonino, but he was way far back. I don't think that would have worked. And out of Palmer, everybody tries to get that throttle down as you see the sun setting off in the distance here in the English countryside. Into Augustini, nobody gets the jump on one another. It's basically been a battle for best of the rest amongst our drivers. Fournier has it up to 9 seconds ahead of this trio.
Does indeed. Fournier just running off into the distance. Antonino trying the best to hold on to everything that he can. And now as we get down into 10 laps to go, we can start thinking a little bit about pit stops potentially.
This is the view from Clenard here in our little picture-in-picture, chasing Raymond Day, who we look back from, down into Brundle and Nelson. As far as our pit stops go, Cadence Presley still the highest pitter. Adam McDonald's the next one back in the 88. Well, make that Owen McLaughlin, who actually just overtook McDonald. 9 laps to go. Laps going away fast now. I hear somebody else coming in. That's Clenard.
All right, then Ron Clenard coming in, the first out of that leading pack to try to come into the pits and maybe get a little bit changed up. Let's see what Clenard can do. Relatively good stop for him there, only 4.4 seconds.
It's back out and rolling. Wonder if he got a little bit of damage on the underside of the car with one of his offs. He certainly bounded over them at high-rated knots. And that can slow you down in these Formula 3s as he tries to get back up to speed before Johnny Luna approaches from behind so that he doesn't get overtaken. Looks like he is going to be in the clear now.
All right, so that'll be good news for Clenard. He'll be able to put in some good hot laps here, just focus on the road ahead of him and do everything that he can do to just drive fast, and hopefully he will be able to jump ahead of Day and Antonino and get rid of that battle up in front of him.
Let's see Daniel Barnett in the pits, and that's from a little farther down on the leading lap, so he's going to go a lap down temporarily, as Fournier will likely zip past. Continue to watch from on board here with Rod Clenard now having taken his pit stop. Do you think this early stop will help him try and get some of those positions back, DJ? Could he maybe sneak back into second now that he's not fighting directly with Antonino and Day?
I certainly think there is a chance that he'll be able to pull it out. I mean, this is not exactly a track where you're worried about the big draft train and losing out on that like you were at Watkins Glen. If he's just able to run some good hot laps here, we will be able to see. Now, granted, we're going to have to pay attention as though, Raymond Day coming into the pits.
He is indeed, so he's responding, doesn't want to let Clenard get the jump on him, already back out on the track, and though Rod has the speed, it looks like Day is going to be up to the corner before he gets there, just before he gets there. It was awful tight. Clenard within 1/10 of a second.
Very, very close. This battle is certainly back on, Joe.
Things about to get spicy. And behind them, that is for position, but Luna needs to take a stop. Oh, and there goes Raymond Day. Oh no, right after his pit stop, Raymond Day loses the rear of the car. And I think, yeah, he's going to have to take a tow. He must have hit the wall.
And here we can watch that 77 machine working his way down into the corner. I think he caught a little bit of that inside curbing that upset the car. And you can see it just spin out. Nothing for Day to do. Oh, so heartbreaking there for him.
Wound up being a bit of a bad day. So Raymond is not going to get the points he's been looking for. And now Rod Clenard has a much clearer bit of track to try and chase down Antonino once he takes a stop, which, by the way, is right now.
It is indeed. Coming into the pits right now is Antonino, so we'll have to see how he shakes out against Clenard, waiting for him to come to rest in the stall.
Oh, and that was a mistake here. Who are we riding with? Oh, that was Fournier. That was our leader. How much time did he lose in that? And that was all on him. He locked it up into Wilson and just speared off the track.
Oh my goodness, we're seeing that a couple of times from drivers here tonight. A little bit startling, if I'm honest, Joe.
I think he's going to be clear because Antonino is way ahead of Rod Clenard, and Antonino wasn't all that close to Fournier. So John, the leader of the AMS, is now finished with his pit stop and might actually have this easy second place if he can just bring this one home. This is what happened to Fournier that we're watching. Yeah, just
locked up those front tires, Joe. I wonder if maybe he had reset the brake bias a little bit as the tires were starting to wear off and just caught him out unexpectedly.
It's hard to say. It does seem unusual after such a flawless race, and this is 6th place on screen that we're watching Michael Broomhead be chased by Rod Clenard. Now, again, some of these drivers have to stop, including Michael Broomhead in that 5. So his fight really isn't with Rod at this stage. He doesn't want to lose too much time trying to squabble with him. And Fournier now responds with a pit stop. Where is Antonino? Don't think Antonino's going to get him.
I'm a little bit doubtful that he will, but we've seen incidents in the pits take drivers out before. Looks like he's able to get through nice and easily, just waiting for it all to come through. There he goes, back and on his way.
And that's the 06 as well. Byron Daly's finished his stop. In fact, pretty much everybody now coming into the pits. Christopher Richards, I see as well, taking a stop. And James Carter, the last one that has yet to hit his pit stall. So your order at the top now after that means Fournier leads only by 1.5 seconds. He gave away quite a lot with that mistake. Antonino, our lead AM, is at the dizzying heights of 2nd place overall and only 2 seconds behind the leader. And Rod Clenard has promoted himself back up to 3rd, which amazingly is still a net gain from his starting position in spite of lots of mistakes today.
Yeah, indeed. It's very, very impressive as we're right on board with Antonino. You can see just how much he is hustling that car out of Williams onto the Bentley straight, trying to close in that gap. He is going a little bit faster right now than Fournier in front of him, getting that gap down to about 1.5 seconds when they crossed in. Grows a little bit as they work their way through Brundle and Nelson, but I think this race is still on.
Yeah, Alex cannot afford another mistake like that again. He's going to be 5 to go at the line. So if he does have a little mistake, he can try his best to recover. But, he's wheeling the car pretty hard. I could see the rear just rotate on him through that final corner.
Yeah, he's got to be worried here at this point about trying to maybe overdrive the car. A little bit of lap traffic up in front of him, though. That could cause a little bit of problems. He's going to get out of the way. I think that may have cost Fournier just a couple of tenths. Looking like on my screen, the gap as they go into the braking for Wilson is down to about 1.1.
Apologies, we were on board with Antonino, not Fournier there for the moment. And back into the infield portion. Oh, Almanar into the pits for a second time. His 14th place has a side-by-side battle down into Nelson. Whoa, the cutback from Presley somehow does not produce contact. I don't know how. Those cars had to be a paper's width apart from one another.
They did indeed. Some great heads-up wheel-to-wheel driving there from the two of them. Absolutely love to see it. Cadence Presley putting on a good show.
Some real trust between those competitors. Yeah, I went back and watched it on my screen. That was frighteningly close between the pair of them. That's the second time we've seen Scarali be involved in something like that. Now he's going to try and have to fight back as the number one machine. Just ahead of him, breaks a lot earlier than when Scarali does, but Scarali's not able to get by.
No, he's not, but Tyler keeping up the assault the best that he can here. He's looking very, very close as they head through that sweeper of Palmer. May have a little bit of a look down here, down into Augustini, but I'm not sure yet.
Nope, doesn't even poke his nose out. I think Manuel Vargas had a bit of an issue for a brief... No, that was an internet connection. Oh, and Scarali's off. Scarali, I look away for 1 second, and that battle evaporates.
Scarali was driving a great race here, just running into problems. Tyler so close on some of these moves, putting on a great display, but just having bad luck and bad grip around Snetterton today.
Down to 4 laps to go now. Chances are running out. That honestly ate up one of our last decent battles. Although I've been hearing a few cars coming to the pits for a second time. In fact, I see Jonathan Almanar, who I mentioned earlier, has been in and out. He's still running in 13th. And it looks like Heffernan has been on pit lane twice. Stephen Ritters, Kenny Brown as well. Not sure if that's drivers who had to stop to take repairs from the early incident or what, but it is highly unusual as this race is typically a simple one-stopper.
It could also be a matter of that drive-through penalty that we talked about, Joe. I haven't looked at any of their times, but remember, 13 incidents. You can rack that up very, very quickly.
If that was the case, though, it'd be a drive-through, and we wouldn't see them stop in their box. And I'm seeing all of them having stopped at their pit stall. So I don't think those are penalties. Very unusual stuff. We'll look into that in a bit. Fournier now down to 3 laps to go. Credit to John Antonino. We were kind of joking around at the number of AMs that are in this series this season, DJ, but I'm starting to think the 193 really does need to be promoted up to the pro class.
Have to agree with you on that, Joe. John Antonino putting in a fantastic performance here. We saw him and him flexing his legs a little bit in the GT category last year, but he's showing that he has certainly got the pace in the open wheelers as well. He's let the gap grow out a little bit to Alex Fournier right now, but nonetheless, he is driving an incredible race. He's got about a 3 to 4 second gap back to Ron Clenard. Yeah, there you can see those times ebbing away a little bit over the last couple of laps, but a good run here from the 193.
I'm still really wowed that he's been keeping it as close as he has, just because of the fact that it was about this distance, 1 to 2 seconds behind the leader when they came out of the pits. So he's not really dropping at a drastic rate. He's making sure that Alex stays honest today. And considering there is some lap traffic up ahead, there is a good chance that something could slow him up enough that maybe John could have hopes of taking an overall win.
He might. If something happens to him out here, we could very easily see that come to fruition. We'll have to wait. Still 2 laps to go here with that lap traffic starting to cause a little bit of chaos, so it may not be done quite yet.
Got a battle for 12th. This is between Presley and Almanar. We had Scarali in it before, and it was Presley who withstood the pressure to watch his rival spin off to the grass. Now Almanar wants to try and avoid that pitfall. He is going to pull good slipstream. He's getting awful close down the Bentley straight, and Presley knows it. Cadence goes defensive.
Yes, he does. Trying to get a little bit scrappy there. The best that he can, Cadence does. And that's him around!
Wow. Commentator's curse as Presley now loses his front wing, which will make... I've been keeping half an eye a little bit higher up between Johnny Luna and Christopher Richards. This is for 7th. Oh, and a blink from Luna. I hope he's not gone for good. There we go. Now he's back. I was going to say, losing the connection with 2 laps to go would just be maddening.
Oh, it most certainly would, Joe. We saw that happen earlier on with David Holland, who I can actually report is back on track, and they're off into the distance.
Well, it wasn't the internet connection. It was zone driving, unfortunately. Johnny Luna. Man, this is a weird race. There's a lot of mistakes that just look completely unforced that are shocking me. Just realized David Holland has taken the fastest lap after returning to this race. He's been 3 laps down, so he has gotten back a long time ago. We just haven't really covered it up to this stage. So he's trying to collect whatever few points he can scrounge up from drivers who also have problems here. So we take a look at that battle for P5. Broomhead on the outside of Vorse. Vorse through Riches, keeps his foot in it, and that will give him 5th place. This is the final lap. Fournier is actually already halfway through it.
Yes, he is doing a great job out front, able to grow that gap up to about 3 seconds. As we watch here, the 33 just trying to hold off the best that he can.
Yet more blanking from Broomhead this time. The chasing car, the blue number 5 machine. And we might want to step away from that because Alex Fournier just has 2 more corners to go. He has to navigate Coram, an easy long right-hander, and then braking hard into Murray's, and he is scot-free. Armando in the number 19 just in front of him, locks him up slightly. Let's see if he lets him through. Yeah, he's coming into pit lane, actually. Regardless, the win here at Snetterton goes to Alex Fournier in round 2 of the Precision Racing League Open Wheel Series.
A great run there for Alex Fournier, surviving a lot of chaos. But I've got to say, to me, one of the drivers of the day is that 2nd place 193 of John Antonino, who was able to come home in 2nd place. Behind him, Clenard and Daly about to cross over the line in 3rd and 4th.
Ooh, Broomhead might have a good shot here because that is Vorse off. He's got better acceleration. A mistake right at the end. Will it cost him? It does. Broomhead snatches a top 5 from Vorse.
A great last lap move there from Michael Broomhead. Way to go.
That's why you never give up on these things. He kept his nose in it. Scarali, who definitely wants to try and get whatever he can on his recovery, thinks about something on Donald Olson, but just doesn't find the track position, as Olson is currently in 14th. But it looks like Scarali is very quick right now. In fact, he's thinking about going to the outside. This will give him the inside into Murray's, but he runs out of racetrack. Oh, he's got another shot.
Oh, that's him off.
That is Olson off the track and an almost carbon copy of what we saw from Vorse. So Scarali will indeed get that 14th position. 18 cars on the lead lap, and they're all just about across the line. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. So stick around. Welcome back to Snetterton Racing Circuit for round 2 of the Precision Racing League Open Wheel Series. And it was Alex Fournier who took the win. Almost gave it away at one point with a little off, but other than that, Alex just controlled his own pace and had a nice calm one to the finish. Antonino not only took second, got himself a podium overall, but he was our lead AM driver, so winner in the AM class today. As Rod Clenard, another one that maybe could have had more out of this, as he certainly had pace, but just so many mistakes were costly. From 6th to 3rd is at least a positive for him. Byron Daly, 14th to 4th for him. Michael Broomhead, with great battles literally down to the final corner, finished in 5th. Brian Vorse behind him, 23rd to 6th, as Christopher Richards was in 7th, and Johnny Luna was in 8th. And it's Manuel Vargas in P9, and Matthew Gunderson finished 10th.
In 11th, it was Owen McLaughlin, followed by Jonathan Almanar and James Holland, with Tyler Scarali seeming to be on the camera every 5 minutes there, coming home in 14th. Donald Olson was 15th, followed by Cadence Presley, who had a couple of great moves throughout that race. Adam McDonald was 17th, followed by Brett Barrett and Daniel Barnett, with Colin Heffernan rounding out your top 20.
It was James Carter in 21st. Stephen Ritters finished P22 and Kenny Brown 23rd. Duhamel was the last one lap down in 24th. Takeshi Kita P25 and Raymond Day with a hard hit into the wall, finishing at 26. Ridgway was P27. Armando in the number 19 was P28. Chip Michaels 29th. And David Holland 3 laps down and 30th after starting from the pole, and all due to his internet connection. Drivers from here either had very bad days or DNF'd, which means it looks like we'll get to talk to our second place overall finisher, but our AM winner, John Antonino. John, congratulations. In a race with this much attrition, if we didn't look at the grid spots, it'd be easy to assume that an AM maybe snuck up there by just surviving the melee, but no, you had legitimate pace today, sir.
Thank you about that. Yeah, I just tried to keep a cool head at the start of the race. I didn't want to make any dumb moves or anything, and I just I made a couple mistakes, but I didn't let the other guy through. I was defending for it, but I still got it, and then I finally got in a groove, and I kind of broke away from him.
Indeed. Now, we saw plenty of drivers slip off the track today, but it looked like the winds were a bit gusty out there. Could you feel that in the car? Did it feel a bit erratic at times?
Yeah, mid race, it started to it kind of got through some corners I would mess up because I just felt like it would just push for sometimes, and sometimes it wouldn't. But yeah.
Again, this is some impressive stuff, and I'm sure those skills at a technical track like this will come in handy next week because we're heading off to Suzuka. Do you find yourself pretty good at over in Japan?
But I'm not bad. I'm just sometimes through those S's at the beginning, it throws me off.
I don't blame you. Those have always been one of my least favorite parts of that track, which I know is heresy for some race fans. But again, congratulations on a second overall and an AM win. Is there anybody that you want to give a thank you to that helped make this happen?
Yes, thank you. I like to thank Delta Sport Race Factory, Move Up Lunchburg, Extreme Sim Racing, Driven Texas, Fremont, USA, and PRL.
Great stuff from John Antonino, incredibly composed as well. That young man has an incredible racing future in the sim world, I think. And unfortunately, though, is going to be our only interview today, as it looks like we don't have anybody else to talk to, sadly. So we're going to close it up. And of course, we want to give a thank you to the sponsors of the series as they help make this whole thing happen, as it includes ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. And RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at RaceLab.app, as well as ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. And SIMMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out our Bandcamp if you want to find more great work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. And check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because like we said, next time out, we're going to Suzuka Thursday, October 7th at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.